This video is on getting started with GitHub. So GitHub, if you're not familiar, is a website that will store the code that you create in the cloud. It's also a version control system. The version control system is called Git, G-I-T. Okay. So what it is basically, it's a way for you to create a save history of code on a project that you're working on. Okay. And it's also a portfolio that anybody, including future employers, can browse. So whenever you reach some kind of a checkpoint in a project, then you want to take a snapshot of that and upload it to the server. That's called a commit. There'll be another video on committing things. Okay. So those snapshots get pushed up to GitHub. They're safe, they're backed up, they're organized, they're visible. So in this course, we're going to use GitHub for our portfolio assignments. And again, the portfolio assignments are 80% of your grade, so it's important that you get this set up correctly. So if you have problems, make sure you let me know. Okay. So what I've got showing on the screen here is just the GitHub homepage. It's at github.com. Okay. And you can go ahead and set up an account, free to set up, all that. There's a pricing option. You can certainly pay more if you want to do that, but there's no need at this point. Okay. So in the sign up, you're going to go through, you're going to put in an email, you're going to put in a password, a username, all those things. Okay. So as far as using an email, I think the most straightforward thing that you can do right now is to use just your UVA-wise email. Probably the most straightforward way to do that. Okay. Um, if you want to use your private email, it's okay, it's no problem. Just make sure that your actual name that you use in the class is on the portfolio name so I can track to make sure that you're you. Okay. I would caution just in general, if when you were 14 you created some crazy email address that you thought was really cool then, or even something now that's not very professional, I would consider moving away from that into something more professional. Okay. It's not too early to be thinking about you'll be looking for a job sooner than you think, probably. Okay. So when you go through the account, um, you choose the password, choose a username, all that stuff. Okay. There's probably going to be a CAPTCHA there. Then you click on create account. You'll then get an email that you then verify with a code. You'll type the code back in. Should be ready to go. Okay. I'm going to switch over to my actual one. I had to sign in with Chrome. If not, it was going to uh, I didn't, it would make me log out, and I didn't want to log out of my account. Okay. So let me find Safari. There we go. Okay. So this is what my profile looks like on GitHub. Okay. So I should probably put an image out there of myself. I haven't yet, but I'm not looking for a job, so it's not as important. It in many ways, and we'll talk about this if you have me for other classes closer to your senior year. This you can put information about yourself. You can put basically your resume. There's room for lots of things here. And anytime, even if the class doesn't require it, anytime that there is um, a significant project that you work on, put it on GitHub. Okay. Make sure it's something that people can look at. Okay. So as part of that, you can go over here and click on the navigation menu, which is just your avatar. Okay. And you can come down to settings. Under settings, you can set a lot of things. Okay. So there are lots of options here. Again, you want your name to be something reasonable. Um, you can choose whether or not to make your email either private or public. You probably want it to be public if you're in an active job search. Doesn't matter so much now. Okay. So lots of things that you can look through on that. Okay. As far as that goes. So once you have that set up, okay, then you can go back to your main profile. And we're basically going to be creating these repositories. Okay. So and again, we'll talk more about this later, but with the different repositories that you have, this is going to be places that you can store code. Okay. And that will, again, become important on the portfolio. Okay. So once you've done that part of it, the next question or the next task becomes making sure that you're able to connect from Ludwig, our class server, to GitHub, right? You're going to be able to push your files back and forth. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and again, for my examples, I'm using a program called Warp. Warp is just a terminal program, but it's got some extra auto-complete and history and a little bit of AI built into it. Okay. Warp is free. I use it on the Mac. It was a Mac program forever. I think there is now a Windows version. You can check it out if you're interested. If not, just terminal works. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and SSH into the server. Okay, it's again, there's a separate tutorial on this. SSH with my username, which is your email address at UVAWise at ludwig.mcs.uvaywise.edu. Okay, and then it's going to ask for my password. Okay, and then once I'm in, and this is typically what you'll see. Sometimes there'll be some messages there, sometimes not. Okay, but the next thing to do is to go through this GitHub hub configuration. Okay, and that's going to start with a get config dash dash global space user dash name equals and then your first name and your last name. Okay. You just do this once. Okay. And then the next thing that you will do will be the same thing. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. But it's the dash dash global, the user email. Okay. And again, it's going to be your email address. This is the email address you used to sign up to GitHub. Okay. So that would be mine. Okay. And then once you've done that, we want to make sure that it knows which editor we're using. So again, we do the dash global. Again, another GitHub config. Okay. But this is going to be core.editor and then Emacs and dash NW. Just some options there. Okay. I'm not sure I've actually done that, so I'm going to go ahead and try that. I mean, it doesn't really do anything. Again, on Linux, you'll find out that if things are fine, it doesn't really say anything. Okay. We can make sure that we have everything correct. If we do a get config dash dash list. Okay. That will list out all of the information that you just put in there. Okay. Which should be fine. So the next thing is you want to generate an SSH key, which will allow you to connect in. Again, SSH is secure shell. It's how we connect into um, Ludwig from your computer. It's also how Ludwig and GitHub are going to communicate. Okay. So you can always check to see if you already have one doing this ls tilde slash dot SSH. Okay. The tilde slash goes to your home directory and see if there's a .ssh file. Okay. And it turns out that I have one. Okay. The ID underscore ED 25519 and then the same thing .pub are the two. Okay. That I need for this case. Okay. If you don't have these, you'll need to generate the keys. Okay. And this is in the tutorial as well, but I'll type it in, but I don't want to do it again. So I can do SSH dash, should be a dash keygen. So we're going to generate a new key, dash T ED 25519. You saw the 25519's the number you get there. Okay. Dash C. It should be a small c. No, capital C. It looks like a capital C. If it doesn't like that, then do the small c. It's kind of hard to tell am I typing here. Okay. Um, and then you put your email address. Okay. And that will generate the key for you. Okay. You can then print out that key, the cat command. Again, do a tilde slash dot SSH slash ID underscore ED 25519. And you see that is the key. Okay. And since I'm using Warp, it asked me to add the public key to the GitHub account settings. Okay. So I've already done that, so I don't need to do that. Okay. So you then go back to the browser, back to the GitHub settings, and go to the new SSH key, give it a title such as, Ludwig's, or computer science, class server, whatever. You're then going to paste this information. Okay. All this stuff, including the comments. Okay. You're going to paste that into the GitHub. Okay. And then you click add SSH key. GitHub may ask your password to confirm, but then you should be okay. Okay. Back on the server, you can tell that it's working or not if you do the SSH-T get at github.com. Okay. This is SSH is trying to connect into the server, make sure it's good. Okay. And what it will tell you if things are correct, you successfully authenticated, but you can't actually open up a terminal shell, which is fine. Okay. So if the test fails, the most common cause is that you have made a mistake in the copying and pasting of your public key. So go back to GitHub, delete the key, add it again, make sure you copy the entire line from cat. Okay. So that should get things going. So the general workflow then, and we'll talk more about this in separate materials, but basically as you're working on the portfolios, as soon as you get something working, part of it working, whatever, you're going to upload that. Okay. And you're going to see this in more of your classes. This is a way for me to monitor that you are, in fact, incrementally building your programs and not just cutting and pasting them from ChatGPT. Okay. Which we don't want you to do. Okay. So I want to see that progression of the program as it gets better over time. So there should be multiple commits for each of these portfolio assignments. Okay. So that's the basic idea. Okay. So it's important again that when you're creating your GitHub material, when it comes to which image you put for your profile, your username, all that stuff, it should be professional. Okay. Um, Looking to the end where you're going to actually have employers look at this, and they 100% will. Okay. So all it's important. If you ever need a headshot, a professional looking headshot, I'm a semi-professional photographer, and for absolutely free of charge, we can go over to the science building. There's a good spot. We can get you a nice looking headshot to put on your resume and put on things like this. Okay. Okay. So that's all I've got for now. Again, there's more information about GitHub and how we're going to use it that we'll be seeing later.